Hi everyone, this is Dan and the future holds crypto. So, being a special day today, I said that I should create a second video for today because there are so many news out there, especially with this new development on the Ripple. And you guys, know that I am an XRP fan. So let's get a little bit to the latest events. We have Brad Garlinghouse going live on CNBC.
Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, for a first on CNBC interview. Brad, welcome. Good to have you with us. And this is an interesting story. I'm going to pick up where Kate just left off, which was the idea that investors may have thought that in buying XRP, they were buying a security that gave them shares or some ownership in Ripple. Why is that wrong on its face?
Well, first of all, Tyler, thanks for having me. I think this is an important issue. And I think there has been confusion out there. Ripple, the company, as Kate introduced, we have shareholders. We've raised capital from venture capitalists, from actually institutions, and even banks like Standard Chartered as a shareholder. XRP is a separate thing altogether. It is a currency that trades in the marketplace. In the last 8 years, over $1 trillion of the currency has traded. And so what we find is, the SEC, in my opinion, having watched this for many, many years, taking a position now that is, frankly, I think, is one foot out the door, a little bit incredible to kind of take the position after 8 years.
There are a variety of cryptocurrencies, including XRP and obviously Bitcoin and others. Why do you think the SEC is it something in the structure of your business that makes the SEC concerned that there may be a securities violation of some sort in here? What's different about the way you are structured that would cause them to potentially file a suit?
Well, about 2.5 years ago, a little over 2.5 years ago, the SEC came out proactively and said they did not view Bitcoin as a security. They viewed it as a commodity or currency. Shortly thereafter, they came out and said Ether, the second most valuable cryptocurrency, is also not a security. They then have spent the last 2.5 years going after kind of enforcement by saying that certain initial coin offerings were securities offerings. Actually, I've spoken out in favor of that because I think in many cases those were, in fact. XRP, however, is almost undistinguishable from what is Ether in terms of its decentralization, in terms of the breadth of activity. It's traded on a couple hundred exchanges around the world. And what's amazing to me is not a single other country anywhere has looked at XRP as a security. You've had countries like the UK and Japan and Switzerland and Singapore all come out and say things that make it clear that XRP is a currency. Actually, one of the nuggets I think is interesting is even here in the US, the Department of Justice has viewed XRP as a currency, and the Department of Treasury has viewed XRP as a currency. Sorry, Kate.
That's right, Brad. Kate here. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on. I want to ask you mentioned some of those exchanges. I want to ask you about the broader implications for others in the industry. Coinbase is a big name we talk about a lot. They see about 12% of their trading volume in XRP. That company is about to IPO. What would this mean to some of the global exchanges that hold XRP or facilitate trading of XRP on those exchanges?
So about 95% of XRP trading happens outside the United States on exchanges around the world. And so that's outside of the United States SEC jurisdiction. For exchanges like Coinbase that are based here in the United States, one of the reasons why I view this as something that's broader than just, hey, what does this mean for Ripple and XRP? It's what does this mean for the crypto industry here in the United States? The SEC is really picking winners. They're saying there's a duopoly of Bitcoin and Ether are the two digital assets, the cryptocurrencies that will be not regulated by the SEC here in the United States. And it really, I think, sends an ominous sign for innovation around cryptocurrency in the United States. Picking winners in general has not been something the U.S. government should be in the business of doing.
What will happen?
And you mentioned before that
Go ahead,
oh,
Kate.
sorry, Tyler.
No, please, Kate.
No, that XRP could really go on without Ripple. If you guys sold all of your holdings of XRP, that cryptocurrency could survive. Would you ever consider doing that, divesting all of your cryptocurrency holdings and really focus more on your enterprise payments business? Is that something that Ripple has considered or could do?
It's certainly, I think, one of the ironies of all of this is that for XRP to be a security of a company, the company has to exist. And the point that I have made at the various times is that if Ripple, the company, didn't exist, XRP would still thrive around the globe with a couple hundred exchanges around the world. And there's over 100 different projects, innovative entrepreneurs here in the US and around the world building on top of XRP. And the reason why they're doing that is because XRP is far more efficient in terms of speed, in terms of cost, to settling transactions and using it really as a currency. The power consumption has been widely reported of a Bitcoin transaction is dramatically different and costs a lot more.
All right, folks, we got to leave it there. Brad Garlinghouse, thank you for your time today. I'm sure this will be one we'll be following up on. And Kate Rooney, thank you as well.
Thank you both.
So, in the meanwhile, the SEC made this official. So, SEC charges Ripple and two executives with conducting 1.3 billion unregistered securities offerings. This being said, we must notice that it took them 8 years, right? It happened for 8 years, and now, after 8 years, they decided to do that. It seems like a bunch of incompetent people over there. But that's my view on the matter. But in any way, it's official. what I've seen today is also a lot of FUD and a lot of division in this market. I mean, people like Bitcoin maximalists are hating on XRP, where they started to appear from nowhere, getting out of their caves, hating on XRP, I told you so, stuff like that, moments. I believe they're really happy on that, but I don't think they understand the full picture, and the fact that to some degree a lot of the crypto market will be affected by this. It will basically what happens in the with this lawsuit will actually give us a good idea about securities in general, the crypto, what's going to happen with crypto, and how easily basically from government agency or regulator that was founded on some rules from 1933, right? Almost 100 years ago, that haven't actually managed to adapt to the new market requirements and to the modern way of raising money and actually providing innovation, keeping up the innovation, how they can affect a sector. So I do believe that on the other hand, it will be something interesting to watch, because there's a lot of people selling, and let's see on the coin market cap. Okay, so it's 0.45 again. That's a good price. It went back to 0.4 a couple of minutes ago, so it was a massive sell. But I do believe that people are underestimating this, and probably maybe this is just a dump and pump because I do believe that people are definitely underestimating XRP at this point. Why am I saying this? It's because we talked about this in the past. So basically, up until now, everything that we saw in the price action is based on speculation alone and following Bitcoin and the crypto market in general. So it's not related to utility. So if, for example, this lawsuit drags for a long time, well, it will go back to the speculation alone, right? So yeah, is it scary for the moment? Of course, it is for a lot of people. Will it affect the prices? You see, it already did. But don't underestimate XRP. Don't underestimate the fact that it's not only US out there. It's not the US is not the only one in the world. Is not controlling everything. As you have seen Brad saying that 95% of the market is actually outside of the US, or trading XRP is outside of US. So what can happen basically? You think about even for this pandemic for a while, for a bit. What happened in March, for example? We had something that happened in Romania, a few hundred cases per day. Well, let me tell you about overreaction. People were really scared. We stayed in house for months. The government took out the army on the streets to make sure that everybody is in quarantine, not getting outside when they shouldn't. And that was for, I believe, 300 cases per day in the whole country. Can you imagine the overreaction for that? Well, now we had thousands. We went over 10,000 at one point. And I was watching the traffic. Nothing happened. It was like the normal day of October 1 year before. So people got used to it. They went mostly back to what they were doing before. So they got over the scare, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't avoid it. I'm not getting their direction, or that's not. It's that this virus is not dangerous. However, I'm just saying how people are working, right? So yeah, it's a scare now. Maybe the price will drop even further. I don't know. However, people keep forgetting that it's not only US out there. And even so, after when the price drops and other markets, like for example Asia, would see this. I mean, remember that XRP is considered not as a non-security outside US. US is an outlier. They are really late into the game. And basically, our other countries, most of the important other parts of the countries, the world, are already said that XRP is not a security, right? So it's safe to say that this won't affect the markets outside US. So what will happen? People will sell in US because they're scared. Others will see on the market over in other markets like Asia. They will see, oh, this is a good price. I will buy all XRP now. And they will drive up the price as well. And of course, this will happen it also will happen something else. Well, if the bull run continues, and I believe it will, look at the price for Bitcoin to almost 24 again, we will see fear of missing out to the next level. We haven't seen true fear of missing out. I just started to receive calls from family and friends and other people about asking me about crypto, when to invest, is it a good time again, and stuff like that. When the real FOMO begins, and it's only beginning, nobody will care. Nobody will know that it's a loss of the XRP. It's still on the market. It's still in the top 3. Even now, it seems that let me refresh this. Okay. Well, yeah, you know what I mean. It's still in the top 3. And what will happen? What happened the last time? Do you know, people, when they're getting into this market because of the fear of missing out, they're not rational. They already are panicked that they want to get into it, be millionaires overnight. They're gonna look at Bitcoin and they're gonna say, "Oh, it's expensive. Well, Ethereum is expensive as well. Oh, what is with this guy? Oh, it's the 3rd place and it's so cheap. I'm gonna buy more of this." They won't care about any XRP lawsuit or any bullshit from US. They will buy it, just buy it, right? And that will increase the price even more. So I believe that on the medium long term will be fine. In any case, I do, however, believe that even that lawsuit will be okay in the end. So it has been looming over XRP and over us for a while now. And this is it. It happened, right? We talked about this in the past. It was a risk. It is happening right now. If you have watched any videos from BC Becker, he actually has a very good advices in general. And one of his advices is saying that try to remember or keep track of your feelings, because you have to trade against your feelings in general. How you felt when the XRP went with above 30x, not 30x, 100% increase, price increase. You were very happy. You wanted to buy more, right? What happened when you were when you had a big dip? You are scared. You're thinking of selling not to lose your money anymore, right? So if you keep track of that and see where were you on the price chart, what feelings you had. And I do remember something in March when XRP went to 10 cents. I remember I bought a lot back then, but the stress was huge because one thing, it was the pandemic situation, the global situation. It was really scary. It was new. We also had the crash, the market crash, and people were talking about the new depression, a possible world war, the pandemic that was going to, be very dramatic in that as well. And of course, everybody was thinking, maybe it will go even lower, maybe it will go to 0. I bought then. It was really hard to buy at that point. To some degree, it's not the same as back then, but the feeling I have right now, it's in the same category. I mean, it's not the best feeling that you have right now because of this, but it's much better than then. It's not as bad, right? Because everything else is going around well, and I'm not only invested in XRP, but it is my biggest holding. So I'm just saying that in these situations like this is very stressful. Keep in mind that usually when stuff like this happens, you have to go against your feelings. You have to actually be to do whatever the opposite of what most of the people are doing, and most of the people are doing now. What are the thing is? What is the thing that the most people do right now? They are selling, right? So what can you do? Maybe buy, or at least hold, right? So keep that in mind. And also wanted to go through some very important parts. Charles Hoskinson released another video on the Ripple lawsuit today, and I believe I just love this guy. I mean, he reminds me why I invested in Cardano. I mentioned this in the previous video, but his reaction to this is amazingly clear-headed. It is a mature response. This is what I expect from a leader. This is what I expect from a man in his position, and he has delivered exceptionally. And not only this, but I will do the following thing. I'm gonna go to very important bits of the video, then play at the end a big chunk of it. I'm gonna also link the entire video below, and I'm gonna comment on the important bits of the video, because I believe that he has a very important and very clear look on the impact this can have on the entire market. He's looking outside the FUD. He's looking outside the controversy, or not, the division between different fans of XRP, Bitcoin, or whatever. He has a very good insight on this, and I believe that unity is what will get this market over to the next phase. But let me play through it.
It's going to activate their billion-dollar war chest to turn on their PR and media machine. For us as an industry, this is really an existential moment for the U.S. government to really get serious about whether they want to be a major player in the cryptocurrency space or not. Probably the most poignant thing in this entire document is right on page 6 in section 4C, where it says no foreign regulator has determined that XRP is a security. In fact, the opposite is true. The United States would be an unfortunate outlier. The U.S. likes to believe it controls the whole world and it runs every regulatory agency, but the reality is it doesn't, and that's becoming very clear as we go into the 21st century. And this is kind of a bellwether test on whether it makes sense as a cryptocurrency infrastructure company to base your infrastructure company in the United States and do business in the U.S. market, or whether that market is closed off or not. So as an industry, it's in everyone's best interest, whether they be Ethereum or Cardano or Polkadot, for this to be won by Ripple. Frankly, there's no upside in giving such broad powers to a regulatory body where that regulatory body has no checks and balances or oversight and can basically arbitrarily at any point just decide, we're going to ruin your entire ecosystem. There's 8 years of history here, for better or for worse. There's a lot of things that have happened, a lot of steps have been taken, and it's a very different ecosystem than it was in 2012. And that's true for most cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin included. At a particular period of time, all the things that were true about Ripple were also true about Bitcoin. There was only one operator and one distributor. So it would have been almost certainly a security under this draconian definition of things. And how does that benefit the industry? It really doesn't. So it doesn't help to call XRP a shitcoin, as some prominent people in the cryptocurrency space did in the response to this event. It's not a funny event. It's an existential event for the industry as a whole. The good news is I think that Ripple will prevail, and I think that XRP is going to win. And I think that it was very stupid for the regulator to approach this case as they have done, unless certain facts and circumstances materialize in the next 60 days to 90 days, then indicate that there's something more than what is publicly known. But on the surface, with what we know, what was said in the Wells submission, it just seems like a boneheaded thing, similar to the FinCEN recent decision, which was also pretty boneheaded and quite damaging to the industry as a whole. But
So one thing that I think is very important to gather from what Charles said here is that also, besides the obvious things, is that this lawsuit will decide for other cryptocurrencies and for other business environments if the US is actually a good place to stay, to invest, to do business in. And this is basically a major thing, because we have another CEO here that's already talking about this, and the fact that US is kind of hostile from this perspective, and US will lose to other countries because of this.
Of relationships with people. So I think in many ways 2021 is going to be one of the most significant years in the history of our industry for cryptocurrency regulation in the United States, and it's going to be the deciding year of whether the United States is a friendly jurisdiction to cryptocurrencies or a hostile jurisdiction to cryptocurrencies. And should the United States make the wrong decision, I think cryptocurrencies are still here to stay. I just think the United States will lose its edge and our fintech industry will collapse, causing profound economic harm to the United States, and we'll see all of that abroad. From our part, we work mostly abroad. When you do make progress, you change people's lives. I admire that Ripple, at least on its surface with its mission, has been trying to innovate things like SWIFT and interbank settlement and innovate the way that value moves around the world. The reality is it shouldn't take 5 days to do a wire transfer, and it shouldn't take enormous fees to be able to move large sums of money. And with the systems that they've constructed, there certainly is some innovation there. And they always try to take a hybrid approach where you have maximal decentralization and no centralized control with a cryptocurrency versus a central bank network where you have permission only and massive centralized control. They were always trying to find that middle ground as an entity, and they have done some great innovation like Interledger and other things within that domain. And it's quite unfortunate that this event has happened. And before everybody says shitcoin and print money out of thin air and these things, the US government printed $6 trillion out of thin air and continues to print trillions of dollars out of thin air. So I don't for a moment want people to go and pick on a private company that creates creative ways to finance innovation. This has nothing to do with some guy just making himself $5 and walking off into the sunset. If somebody wants to go and change something that's global scale, they need capital in the hundreds of millions to billions of dollars. And if I'm being told the US government can print money for a living, then why can't Ripple print money to service its goal, as Tesla has done with their season equity offerings, for example? And now they've created a battery power revolution. Okay, the world is different in the 21st century, and monetary policy is no longer the sole dominion of a single entity. And we no longer trust institutions to do these things properly. And if we're going to outsource to private industry, our healthcare, our aerospace industry, our fintech industry, then we might as well outsource to them the same fundraising capitalization tools that the government holds dominion. So say what you will about this particular entity. I do think that there's value that they provide for the ecosystem. And I think that their conduct has not crossed the threshold, at least with the facts that I have today, to indicate that this enforcement action was necessary. And in fact, it's quite the opposite. It is not only unnecessary, it is irresponsible and dangerous for a regulatory body that is just about to experience profound change of leadership to do this and then burden the next set of leaders with that unfortunate task of litigating. I would never do that. If I was a CEO of a company about to retire in 9 days, I wouldn't call up somebody and say, hey, I'm going to go buy your company, and the next CEO is going to have to figure that out. That's what.
So, yeah. We basically have to consider that the world has changed. And I like his Charles' view a lot. It resonates a lot with me. It's the fact that a regulatory body is based on some law from the 30s when the world has changed so much, when it needs so much innovation to drive things forward, blocking ourselves in shit like this. Well, what can you say?
What Steve Ballmer did with Nokia. There will definitely be many, many, many litigations in the coming months and statements in the coming months for us as an industry. We have money now as an industry. We have political power now as an industry. We have senators that like us as an industry. We're no longer a nascent industry. There are hundreds of billions of dollars at stake, and this constituency is not going away. And there's vested interest with the FANGs, the Facebook, Amazons, the Netflixes, the Googles, the Microsofts, and so forth, to get involved in our industry at some point because there's trillions of dollars at stake. And as a consequence, the regulators no longer have the ability to run buckshot over us as an industry. So there's definitely going to be some pushback, and that pushback is going to get more aggressive, and these regulatory bodies are going to start losing court cases. And when they start losing, then things will probably go in a very different direction. And this probably is going to be the bellwether case, if they choose to pursue it, that will fundamentally change the progression of things in the United States. So that's all I know. I hope you guys can read the
I believe this is also very interesting. Yes, this is not your baby industry from 8 years ago, right? People have this industry has evolved. People can defend themselves now. They have the money to do it, and especially one of them is Ripple. And I believe that they will defend themselves very well. as Charles saying, I do also believe that they will prevail in this. They will fight this on and they will prevail. There will probably be some consequences for them as well, a fine or something like that. Probably some limitations on their escrow, saying that they maybe some control on how and when they can sell, even if in the last period they actually didn't sell a lot. I believe in this year only 35 million or something like that. Definitely some small consequences, but I believe that in the end it will prevail. And when they will start losing cases, as Charles is saying, basically this will kind of change how the regulators are going to work in US, hopefully for US at least, because the one who will lose the most out of this, and mark my words, is the United States. Also, something that's interesting to show at the end.
Time to time. I think it was a bit distasteful for Ripple to say that Bitcoin and Ethereum are susceptible to Chinese control. It's a bit xenophobic. It doesn't really make sense. Yes, the mining capacity is there, and that's certainly an interesting thing. But let's be clear here. If the Communist Party of China makes a decision to try to co-opt or influence the Ethereum network, they're going to be forked out very quickly. And it's the same for Bitcoin. So these are social systems, and they have the ability to bounce back from centralized control. And the very same arguments the SEC is making against Ripple, Ripple is now making against Bitcoin and Ethereum for a particular control mechanism. I will remind Ripple that their unique node validator list is an invitation-only club. They decided how that was going to work. Whereas proof-of-stake systems like Cardano and Tezos and Algorand, it's a permissionless system. You just have to hold the asset to have influence over it. I don't get to determine that. It's a key difference there. So the industry really does need to stand together, and the industry really does need to look at bellwether moments. And the recent FinCEN ruling and the FATF travel rule application and this particular case are definitely big challenges in 2021. But I remain optimistic that not only are we going to overcome these challenges, that I think ultimately it's going to actually reset America and put us in a much better regulatory environment for cryptocurrencies as a whole, and allow us to be innovators again. Because that's what we do best in America. We're innovators. And I'd like to make sure we stay that way, because the world works better when we are. All right, that's all I know.
So, yeah, it's actually, he brings a good point. We actually talked about this in the previous video. So it is a fact that the mining hash rate, most of the mining hash rate proportionally is in China. For Bitcoin, and I showed you the Cambridge website and the data, and also for Ethereum, and actually Charles confirmed that as well. That is a fact, right? Now, if the control over them, it's something different, and I actually, if you watch my Twitter as well, you can find it below. I told you, and I believe I talked about this in the previous video as well. Any new project has problems, right? Nothing is perfect from the beginning. It has some stuff you have to acknowledge, and you have to fix it. You cannot go with a product perfect from the beginning, because it's not possible, and it won't. You won't make it if you're trying to do something like that. You need to think in steps. So even in this situation, Bitcoin and Ethereum having this problem with the hash rate, I mean, you have to acknowledge that this might be a problem. As Charles is saying, it might not. It's depending on the hash rate, depending on the fact that they might be getting forked out, but I'm not sure if that's so easy, and especially if there are decisions that or small changes that are done in time and not easy to track or puzzle together. But in any case, these are things that can be fixed, right? I do, however, think that he has a good point here. I mean, Ripple, I'm not sure if Ripple had a good approach here in attacking or having these statements on Ethereum and Bitcoin, because basically there already was some fight between the fans of these groups. I don't know why. It's funny to me. And in situations like this, you need to stay together. I believe that in order for one to thrive, others don't need to suffer. So, especially in this, when they're not competing on the same market at all, not at all. So, that's why I believe that they could have approached this a little bit differently. That's how they approached that, and the statements they did actually made it easier for this division to happen. On the other side, on a positive note, not a positive note, but I do believe that people need to stick together, right?
A lawsuit is filed. As I mentioned, there's a
So I believe that this is what I had to say for today. Thank you for watching, and take care of yourselves. Merry Christmas and happy holidays.